Why, hello there. I guess you're my 6 o'clock. Okay, it's very lovely to meet you. I hope that the ride over here wasn't too much of a trouble. The commute is fine. Okay, how long does it take you to get here? Not bad, not bad. And you, of course, have a reliable source of transportation? No? That's perfectly fine, too. This job is a little more, come and go as you please. You know, there's the option to do remote work, so that way if anything ever happens with your transportation, or if anything ever happens where you just can't make it to the office, you do have the option to work from home, at your own leisure, at your own pace. Yeah, that's one of the perks of this job, is the ability to not have to come here to the brick and mortar building, but rather we do things very digitally now, considering the modern age. Please sit down. Is there anything I can offer you? Some water, coffee, tea. You're good for now? Okay, so I really love the fact that you're punctual, so that clearly indicates that you are managing your time quite well so far. Now tell me a little bit about yourself. What are some of your hobbies? Yeah, any writing, any drawing, any video editing, any video gaming? Video gaming is such a great hobby that you derive a lot of skills from. It is so undervalued in the society. If you play video games, that means that you are not only technologically capable, but it also means that you are that you have the capacity to sort of play games even if there is a learning curve to them. And it also programs and trains your brain to think very strategically and to sort of maneuver throughout the whole game and explore a different software platform. Yeah, so video gaming is definitely a hobby that we have in high esteem in this company. Anything else? Okay, so video gaming. Do you like painting by chance? Okay. Now as for some hobbies that relate to the position, are you by chance familiar with a computer? Okay, and how well are you proficient with the computer? Okay, we find that those that spend the most time on the computer are oftentimes the most hireable, and that they have the most skills to place down or to derive experience from. So, tell me a little bit more about yourself. When was your last employment? Okay. Let me just make a quick note of that. Yeah, we don't mind if there's any gaps on the CV. We don't mind if you don't have relatable or relevant, rather, work experience. All we care about is just kind of getting a fuller picture, trying to get to know you and making sure that we better understand you, so that way if we invite you into the company, we kind of have a idea of where your strengths and weaknesses are, and we can better help you manage your weaknesses and be accommodating of your weaknesses while also maximizing and prioritizing your strengths as well. We try to apply a more holistic approach to our employees here. We want to make sure that they are being taken care of. We want to make sure that their mental health is being taken care of, that their physical health is also being taken care of. If you end up having a workplace accident, not common considering the work, but if you do end up having a workplace accident, we will take care of all the expenses. There won't be a debate over who's liable or whether or not it's technically our fault. If you got hurt, we find that it is our responsibility to take care of you. Furthermore, if you end up feeling like a little under the weather, if there's a lot of stress going on at home, if you feel like, your mind just needs a little bit of rest, we make sure that you can have the affordability and care to say, hey, or comfort levels to say, hey, I just want to stay at home today, without having to fear that it'll reflect poorly on your work performance. We completely understand that we're all human beings, and that as such, our mental health is number one to continue yielding job satisfaction or work satisfaction for us. So if we don't take care of you, you won't take care of us, and this relationship won't be beneficial for either of us. But if we maintain it beneficial for both parties, we find that you'll be able to give enthusiastic and good work for us, and we'll be able to take the satisfaction of knowing that you're giving us good work, and that you are someone who can stay home if you feel, sick or under the weather, or that you can rest easy with job security. Now, the pay is up for debate. What were you expecting to be paid in this position? I know it's such a silly question. You know, you want to you want to understand what it is that we're able or willing to give you. This is more so just a kind of riffraff between us. There is a little bit of a window, if you will, between what is the lowest that we tend to pay people and what is the highest that we tend to pay people. So if you fall out of that window, because, you know, it always is good to research what is the usual or average salary for a position prior to coming to an interview or prior to applying for a job. If you fall out of that window, then it might be a little awkward or clunky, but we also understand that the question's a little out of left field and that it often throws people through a loop because they're more so focused on, you know, just getting the job done and then being paid as opposed to setting their own wages. But it is also very useful to try to aim for as high as that within that window as possible, because it often maximizes the income that you'll be receiving. Yes, we find that that is a factor into why women aren't paid as much as men, is because men have always been raised with the idea of, you know, question things, make sure that you are maximizing, kind of being more socially or assertive with their money or with their position. Meanwhile, with women, we're kind of trained to say, hey, sweetie, like, smile, look pretty, don't try to make yourself too much of an inconvenience, take up as little space as possible. So when the job interview happens, they tend to go with whatever the person just wants to pay them, or just say, hey, I'll just yield it to you, which ends up lowering their income. Not all the time, there are some women who assert themselves, but that's kind of a factor into why some women get paid less. So through recognizing that or being aware of the process, you can more easily say, I want to be paid for this much, and you can say, well, the reason I want to be paid for this much is because my experience, my skills, my can-do attitude, my personality is very well tailored for your business. Now, if I were to be recompensed appropriately for my work, you will find that it'll yield even better results for your company. Something along those lines. Kind of maintain it positive, kind of rather keep it positive, keep it productive. Make sure that you're listing off reasons and facts as to why you should climb up the ladder, as opposed to saying, well, I just want it, or well, because I have expenses to pay. Everyone has expenses to pay. But if you remain it, or if you focus it on the positive aspects, then they are more likely to be agreeable with you and say, okay, I'll give you the money, as opposed to saying, you seem to be coming with a little bit of issues, and it might create a bit of an awkward work setting. So it's kind of like little pieces of insight for future job positions in case you don't get this one. It's kind of like a wink wink hint hint. You know what I'm saying? Perfect. Okay. We always love to make sure that workers understand their rights, that they understand their tricks within the company. Oftentimes companies want everyone to kind of be segmented or divided, so that way they can kind of get away with things that are not going to be agreeable to their employees if they found out. But we try to aim for a policy of transparency. That way our workers know that our genuine and true intent is, number one, of course, for the product that we're selling. But number two is our worker satisfaction and our worker happiness within the office. We want to make sure that everyone is included, that everyone feels comfortable, that everyone feels accepted, that everyone feels taken care of. We want to make sure that this feels like a kindergarten classroom where there's a lot of creativity going on, that there's no judgment, that any idea is a good idea no matter how useful it is, and that creative, problem-solving, unique, out-of-the-box thinking is very well rewarded in this company. Correct. We also often encourage people to have, of course, their breaks, that way they can have their lunch and whatnot, but we also give them extra time to work on some creative projects just for themselves, you know, kind of take work to home where you can practice creating your own model, so that way you can kind of derive passion from it, or derive a sense of accomplishment from it, and kind of remind yourself that it's for the craft, not for the profit, although of course the profit is what motivates it, if that makes sense. Okay, perfect. So tell me something about yourself, something unique, something that makes you stand out from others, or something that makes you feel like you stand out from others. Interesting. And do you feel like this attribute is something that you've always had, or is it something that you've developed? Okay, tell me something that you've developed in recent years. What is a trait or attribute that you feel like you've positively grown within yourself? Something that you've either matured in, something that you've gained wisdom in, something that you've realized you can just let go and sort of process on your own or whatnot. Examples could be letting go of friends that are either toxic or don't serve you anymore. Not necessarily like those, you don't do things for me, but more so like they don't really understand who you are anymore. And to remain with them would be to be reminded constantly of a character that you're no longer playing. Or rather, recognizing your ground, recognizing that you can be a still rock in the motion of noise around you. Things like that, sort of personal development. Yes, we highly encourage people to be personally developing themselves, not only for themselves, but also because it contributes to a very positive, healthy environment in the office. Even if you haven't been, positively growing as of late in this office space, we're going to want to concentrate on that, and we'll give you ample enough resources and ample enough tools and tips in order to sort of grow as a person if you so decide. Correct, we're a very engaged, involved company. We're a very engaged, involved office space or workplace. Yes, we find that a lot of jobs, practically a monkey can do it. Hence the scandal with that one monkey that was producing something for manufacturing, and it was found to be animal abuse. I forgot where it was, but it was just something. I think it was Amazon using monkeys or something. I don't know. It was something like that, something in the news. But we find that a lot of jobs can be done by either monkeys or robots. So we want to make sure that the people that we have working here are people that we value for their human characteristics. We make sure that this workspace is valuing what makes us human, and making sure that every single human being is being taken care of emotionally, physically, as I've already stated. Otherwise, what is the point? I can just easily buy a robot, get 10 people's jobs done automatically, or get a monkey and get 10 people's jobs done automatically. We'd much rather have the human experience, since, this whole society is built around the human experience and for humans. So we want to make sure that those in the company are consistently developing and growing. The more stagnant, sort of stuck, sort of I'm just wanting to stay in my zone, and this is how I am, that's how it is, sort of mentality where you just don't want to consistently be growing or consistently think, what about this, what about that, it tends to be something that we tend to give people space to take a break mentally, to not have to think, to not have to brainstorm, to not have to be intuitive all the time. However, if someone is just remaining on a wavelength that ends up bringing down the office, then we tend to kind of put them in their own solo group projects, so that way they can kind of keep to their work as everyone else kind of collaborates together. Correct. There is group work and there's also solo work. So it just really depends on your strength and comfort levels, whether you want to be by yourself or whether you want to be in a group. Do you feel like you're more of a team player, or do you feel like you're more of like a solo artist? Interesting. Well, you see, the group work that we have set up here is like the group work that was present in high school or any sort of public education system, where everyone is forced to kind of work together, and oftentimes they're randomly assigned together. When it comes to group work here, people collaborate and they just come together. It's not like a segmented group where you have to choose and feel like you're left out, but rather a communal group effort where everyone is expected to kind of contribute something to it, something unique, something tailored from themselves, and they often just shoot around different ideas and build off of one another, and everyone is contributing. It's just fun to contribute. It's something that everyone genuinely enjoys, but there are those that still prefer to just kind of work on their own and not work around others because they might have X, Y, or Z reasons for doing so. And if that's going to be the case, then we do have the option for solo work. You will be given a small study or workspace shielded behind glass, a sort of soundproof booth for you to sort of have silence and peace and quiet in order to complete your work. How does that sound? Okay, perfect. Well, those are the two options that we have here. So which one do you feel appeals better to you, whether it be the solo work or the group work? Okay, perfect. I'm going to note that down real quick. Give me one moment. Okay. Yes, I think after evaluating you and interviewing you, I really like the cut of your jib, if you will. I really like the way that you present yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you just are. That's something that we highly value here as a person that's just existing. We don't like immense falsities. We don't like immense faces where people just kind of put on a mask, because oftentimes what we find is that those masks can crack. We prefer someone who's just much more relaxed, calm, composed, and just says, I'm here, and that's it. So I really like the way you carry yourself. Do you feel relaxed? I love that in a person, just a sense of calm. That's what we try to aim for in this office space, is a sense of calm. That's why when there's like a stressful situation, or if someone is having a difficult time, the space that is allotted here is a sort of respite for those people to sort of come here and feel detensed, or as a safe space, if you will, for our employees who are going through more stressful times, to come here and feel like the work environment and the workload is a place that they can just kind of unburden themselves from whatever's going on outside of their work lives. So I really do enjoy your energy. I really do enjoy your vibe. When is the soonest that you can start? Okay, perfect. So I think that within a couple of weeks, we'll be contacting you, scheduling a time for you to be trained, scheduling a time for you to come on board, show you the work office, show you what the work is going to be. We'll give you 2 weeks to a month to sort of familiarize yourself with our work, to familiarize yourself with the schedule, with the routine, and then afterwards we'll take it baby step by baby step. How does that sound? Perfect. Well, welcome aboard. You are, of course, hired. I really love the way you just came into the interview. You did amazing, and if you end up wanting to leave the company for any reason, just remember the notes that I gave you. That way you can succeed and land your next job interview. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm gonna see you out and then make my final notes on the computer. Okay, if you will come this way. It was lovely talking